Good afternoon, friends. Thank you for joining us on Men Talk. We're glad you're here. Yesterday is a history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift of God. So enjoy it. It's a present.
Absolutely.
I kind of fouled that up a little bit, but I'm not going to repeat it.
I think it sounds great, just the way you said it.
I have a wonderful, talented man here today you will enjoy hearing from. Many of you have seen him around, but I bet you don't know a lot about him. And so we want to learn a little more about you, James. Your name, your whole name.
Okay.
Do you have a middle name?
I do.
Okay, I want to know your middle name.
It's Ronald.
Ronald.
Yep.
Ronald McDonald.
Yep, see? I might have heard that a time or two.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Judy.
Ooh, your hand's nice.
Thank you.
Anyway, we want to, you talk about anything you want. If we have, we'll jump in with questions. And maybe start back to before you came here. What, maybe where you had a job, different type of job? Or how'd you get into culinary?
Well, I grew up right outside of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base there.
Okay.
And I come from a very large family. I have 6 other siblings. And so
That's wonderful.
I always felt guilty asking my parents for money, even though they always, they had it, but I still felt guilty. So I wanted my own job. And when I was 14, a classmate of mine was a busser at a country club, a local country club. And he said, hey, we're looking for somebody if you're interested. And I think maybe 2 weeks later, I was there being a busser. So that was when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
So that's
young boy of character.
Well, I guess so. I just was trying to be a go-getter and do my own thing, Nobody could tell me what I could do with my own money at 14 years old, right? Or at least I thought so at that time. So, but yeah, I started there at 14 as a busser, and then around 6 months into it, one day the chef needed some help on the weekend for their Sunday brunch. And he let me cook omelets, make waffles, and carve meat. And I helped him out, and it went really well. And that evening, he asked me if I would be willing to come back and work in the kitchen, all the time instead of, the front of house at that point.
That's a wonderful way to start your career. You were what, about 15 then?
Yep, I was 15-ish, somewhere around there, But yeah, and then so from that point, he had said, well, you have to come up like everybody else does and start over at the dish tank, and we'll teach you as you go. And so I did that for probably another, 4 to 6 months maybe.
Okay.
And during that time, he had taught me things and, started on salad prep and things like that and just moved on from there. So.
How long were you with him?
I worked there for around 5 years.
Okay.
So.
Great. You got paid and trained at the same time.
Yeah, and a lot of people can't tell this about me, but I can eat enough for 2 large men, and so I've been that way almost my whole life, although you can't tell by my slender body.
Slender, very slender.
Yep. So that was another thing that attracted me to cooking was, my parents, they cooked for us all the time, and they were very good at cooking, but they cooked the same things, I remember sitting at the dinner table wondering, what else was out there in the world, as far as, different types of cuisines and things like that. So I had curiosity.
What was your first challenge of making something that you hadn't made before? Maybe at that restaurant. That's
a tough question because that was a long time ago at this point. But one of the things there's 2 that I remember. One is a good one and one's not so good. So the not so good one was I had to make a bunch of spaghetti for a large party.
That entered my mind. I was thinking spaghetti.
Yep. And so I'll never forget. I filled the pot up with water and I just dumped all this spaghetti in there and got it going and thought I was just doing this great job. And when the spaghetti was done, it came out in one big piece. Yeah. So the chef taught me then. He goes, I know you've probably cooked this at home a certain way, but this is how you do it, for a large group of people. So that was my first, mess up, so to speak, and learning experience. Yes. But the second one was the good story is he let me. We had a lobster night, and he let me cook live lobsters. He told me how to do it first, but he's like, here's the lobster, here's your pot of water. and this is what you do, to make it a little more humane, and then go for it. And
That is a challenge in my mind. That would be a challenge.
I felt very, big at that point, getting to cook lobster. Like I said, I might have been 15, maybe 16 at that point. I'm not sure, but
Wow.
yeah, getting to cook lobster for our members at the country club there. So.
How long were you with? Where did you go after that?
So at 19, I started at the Schuster Center in downtown Dayton.
Okay.
So I'd gotten a call from their chef. This is back when you looked in the newspaper for, wanted ads. So I'll probably make myself sound really old saying that, but we came a long way really fast with technology. I'll just say that. But no, so I'd put in an application there, and she called and said that she'd be interested in hiring me or interviewing me, and I went for an interview, and I was hired that day. So, and then I was there for almost 11 years.
Wow. So then you learned a whole lot of new things to do.
I was so fortunate at the Schuster Center. I was able to work under a chef named Jennifer Ball. That's who hired me. She was an amazing chef. She is an amazing chef, I should say that. And we worked together for around 7 years there. She had left, and she went and became the executive chef at Soin, and then became one of their, kind of like a corporate chef for them, for the Kettering Health Network. So. And then another chef that was there that was very, very influencing me and kind of made me turn a corner with culinary was a guy named Tim Shonchek. So he came in, like I said, probably about 6 or 7 years into it, into my tenure there. And he came from Charleston, South Carolina, and he had worked down there for about 10 years or so under some really, big name chefs down there, big restaurants. And he had learned a lot of like Southern French cuisine and things like that. And then he just, he really taught me to pay attention to the details of cooking. That was one of the biggest things that I learned from him. So
do you do much baking? Most of you do is cooking.
I can do baking.
Do you do a little bit of baking?
I can do some baking. I can make desserts, with the rest of them. It is not my favorite thing to do. And that is, it's interesting in our industry because you really are kind of one or the other,
That's what I wondered.
Yep. So, I have Chef Landon here, and then I have a very talented cook named Austin that's here as well. Both are very good at baking, and so I, collaborate with them to come up with desserts and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, or what do you think about this? Okay, go for it,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we just kind of, guide the ship from there with that part.
Are you one of the hibachi chefs?
I used to be, and I certainly can fill in for that.
Okay.
Chef Pam Hayes, she's our hibachi chef currently. But when I first started here, that was supposed to be one of my positions.
I thought the first time we came, it was you. Mm-hmm. Way back, 2 years, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it probably was.
I think it was you.
Yep. So when I started here in 2019, I did the hibachi out in 1912. I did the hibachi down in TCU, and then I also worked in the Great Wave and helped out in the kitchen and. So all kinds of things. And then unfortunately the pandemic happened.
Oh, you were here during that.
Yes, I was. And I was very glad to be here. I definitely learned some things about, from like a medical standpoint or how a place like this where there's so many people living here, communal living, how they approach something like that. And it was just so smart and tactful, and just the approach was very amazing, just the things that I've seen here. So I feel fortunate to be a part of that.
I missed it. I came right after it was over, more or less.
Yeah,
so I wasn't here during that time.
Otterbein, as a whole, did a really good job with that. So, again, I feel very fortunate to be a part of that.
Do you ever do any vegetarian cooking?
Yes, not for me personally, though.
No, me too.
I don't think that's something I could ever give up. Bacon is just too good of a, too good of a piece of meat to ever walk away from. So,
but you, if somebody wants it, you kind of know how to fix something vegetarian that's good tasting.
Absolutely. So I've had my fair share of run-ins with vegans and vegetarians over the years. Learn how to maybe modify a dish that that normally would have meat in it,
right.
Or I think the very first vegetarian dish that I ever had that was, successful, and it's something small, but. For lunch at the Schuster, I added it was a portobello Philly cheesesteak.
Oh.
and it was really good, cooked with red wine and all this stuff, and so it had a really nice flavor to it. But
Are you one of those chefs that takes a drink and puts a little in the cooking?
I am not. I am not. So
That's kind of a joke.
a lot of people think that chefs, most chefs are partiers, and that is true to an extent. I am not one of them chefs. Certainly we've all had our time, in our youth days, but
Yes.
As far as, partying and things like that, I'm very, very on the other side of that. Now, I do enjoy a drink from time to time, but, maybe some wine or, some things like that. So, but not often.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
So tell me, do you have some hobbies other than cooking? I know that's your main goal.
Is there life outside of cooking, Judy?
Probably not. Probably it's like dancers or musicians, Kevin. They focus on that.
Well, so hobbies, I love sports.
Okay.
I used to be very active in sports, which I was just telling one of our cooks the other day about how I feel like that helped me, in the culinary field, being an active athlete and things like that, because you learn how to multitask, you learn how to, work under pressure and still, keep a level head and things like that. But bowling, golfing is kind of a couple of the things that I'm able to do now that, because you can kind of pick those up and do them as you have time. I love going to concerts. I love going to sporting events like football or baseball games. And then other than that.
Are you a Reds fan?
I am a Reds fan.
Okay, so am I.
Yep.
Gotta be careful who you ask.
Oh, no, I definitely love the Reds. Was rooting for them, was hoping they would do well in the playoffs, but
Yeah, well,
I'm just happy they made it.
They made it. That's a big thing. And Kevin's a Reds fan too.
Absolutely.
And
Of course.
we've talked about them,
Well, most people would be surprised. So I am a Reds fan, but for baseball, but for football, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. So
Yeah,
you wanted a
I've
joke
heard-
for the day. There it is,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Well, I've heard that a lot of people from Cincinnati are for the Browns.
Well, again, come from a very large family, but my mother's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, both of them are all Browns fans.
Oh.
And so, I just told somebody recent, I guess you could say I was born this way, so.
I guess we'll keep him, huh?
If we have to. If we have to. Luckily, he cooks food that we like, so
You
that helps.
at least it screams loyalty, right? Even when the chips are down, I'm still going to be there for you.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Well, you talked about sports helping you, like with cooking. I would imagine being in a kitchen and working with a team in a kitchen is like working with a team, on a baseball diamond or whatever. There's some comparison there, I would say.
yeah, definitely there's some comparison there because, there's 9 different positions in the baseball field, and everyone has their own unique aspect of being able to help the team.
And I don't even necessarily mean just baseball. I just mean, team sports, that
Yeah.
kind of learning to work in a team environment. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and again, all that definitely goes into play in a very busy kitchen. So, that's a definitely very good comparison.
So you like sports to watch it now on TV and different things when you have time.
Yeah, I wish I had time, or perhaps maybe one day Otterbein will have a softball league or something we can join.
Oh, that's
so.
something they don't have.
Yeah,
That's a
that'd be fun.
good idea.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I heard they used to at one point.
Oh, did they?
We have a really nice park down the street from us with some really nice diamonds. So, it wouldn't be a far drive if everybody was
That's
able to
right.
get together and play.
Armco Parks Diamonds.
Yeah.
They play there. The lights are on at night. You can see.
Yeah, I think they start like in March, and I see them going all the way up until, probably like November. I mean,
Right.
So,
Well, would you play?
absolutely.
Would you play, Kevin?
Absolutely.
Okay, we got
course.
2 sign-ups.
There we go.
I'm going to come and be your cheerleader.
There you go.
I'm not going to. I did play softball in my youth. Girls weren't allowed to do a lot of sports back when I was in high school. They just didn't have them for girls. And they've progressed now, but back then,
Well, I am glad that they've progressed.
I am too.
I certainly wouldn't want anybody to miss out on an opportunity to be able to play something they really like.
Now, we touched on it, and I want you to talk just a little about your cat. He has a cat. Kevin has a cat. They love their cats.
So I have a cat. He's, although I just realized it moments ago, he's a little over 6 years old now. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But He's like a silver gray cat. He's Nublung is his breed, and his name is Dusty. I actually got him from a former partner from here. She brought him in one day, rescued him, from going into an animal shelter, and was here showing him off, asking if anybody wanted him. And by 9 o'clock that night, I was driving him home, and he's been my buddy ever since then. So he definitely knows who Daddy is. So that's my buddy.
As soon as you go in, does he run to the door to greet you?
Oh yeah, he definitely runs up to me. Lots of loud meows, usually begging for food, even if he's got food. So, I keep some treats and some, special cat food for him, like a wet cat food, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, like in the cans.
Yep, but he only gets that kind of as a treat, because I don't want to upset his stomach or anything like that. But when I get close to that, I mean, you could probably hear him from a mile away meowing for it. So, but yeah, so he's that's my buddy. I couldn't imagine life without him. I used to have dogs. I had an English bulldog for almost 10 years, and I really loved him. His name was Bentley. That was so hard to let him go, when that time came, and so. At that point, I was like, I'm done with pets. I'm definitely never going to get another dog. I didn't expect Dusty to quintessentially fall in my lap, but so and Dusty takes care of himself too. For the most part.
Yes.
Bentley, I definitely had to look after him like he was a child. So, but yeah.
Well, I've had
miss
pets,
him.
and it's the same thing. I don't want one now because they're so hard to lose them.
Yeah.
I know you have to face that, but
Yeah.
I go and enjoy my kids' pets. They all got dogs and cats and
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. My neighbor actually has 2 English bulldogs, so I get to be around them all the time.
Okay.
And they're both show dogs, and so.
Oh, they're show dogs.
Yep.
So they're done still showing, or?
She travels all the time with them, so
Really?
I don't ask a whole lot of questions from her. I just, she'll be outside with them, and they come running up to the fence, and kind of do their little climb up, and I pet them, and they, they're high energy bulldogs, so they're a lot of fun to be around. So I get my fix, you could say.
Yes. Well, I think Kevin, you want to mention your cat? He has a cat too.
I've got 2 cats, yeah.
2 cats. What's
Yeah.
their names?
I've got 2 black cats. I've got the first one I got, he's about 12-ish, 13. His name is Malik. And then I got a cat here as well. It was a barn cat. There was a while there where we had a lot of cats that were being born in the barns on campus. And so I took him home about 10 years ago, and his name is NBC, which stands for New Black Cat, because I got 2 black cats. So
That is
Awesome.
very
Malik
clever.
and NBC, yep.
Very clever.
Well, see, Otterbein's not just a place for residents and people, you know.
Yes. There's lots of dogs here. If they're cats, they keep them inside, so we don't see them. But there's lots of dogs, And but I had a calico,
Oh, wow.
and I named her very original, Callie.
Callie?
I said, "You got to be kidding me!" I said, well, I couldn't think of anything else.
I love calico cats.
I
so
do, too.
I had one when I was a child, and they were
She
very
was very
beautiful.
pretty marked.
Yes.
So,
Yes, they
and I
are.
had her 19 years also.
Wow.
So I don't want any more pets. So what else is on your agenda today? You got to go back to work.
Yeah, well, there's never really a dull moment in culinary here. So, yeah, I do have to go back to work here soon. I think I have a meeting here in about
Yeah,
5 or
the
10
medicine.
minutes.
We appreciate your time.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Favorite thing to cook?
Favorite thing to cook?
Or maybe favorite thing to prepare? Maybe not necessarily cooking. It could be smoking, could be whatever. What's your favorite thing to prepare?
Man, I love smoked food. I'm a sucker for smoked brisket, of course.
I knew that about you. That's why I changed my question there. Yeah.
One of my favorite things to smoke, though, that I guess I don't talk about a whole lot, is cheeseburgers.
Oh.
If you slow smoke a cheeseburger
Interesting.
and then do like a reverse sear, which is basically like it's cooked coming out of the smoker, and then you have a very hot surface, whether that's a skillet or like a grill. You throw it on there real fast on each side to kind of give it that sear and that extra little bit of flavor. But then after that, what you have to do is you put your cheese on top of the burger and put it back in the smoker and let your smoker melt the cheese, and now you have smoked cheese on your burger. So I love smoked chicken wings, smoked pork belly. I mean, you name it. So I appreciate you asking that question. And I think you asked me a question before we started too about, one of my favorite things. And I told you a story about how someone asked me recently if I was on, death row, what would my go-to meal be? And I had said, I think chicken wings, because chicken wings are probably my favorite, or right up there. And they still are, but I think I would change my answer at this point to, I'd still have the wings, but I love short ribs, beef short ribs. So I know you'd ask kind of how to prepare them, and so you slow braise them. One of my favorite ways to cook them is in a little bit of root beer. You pour some root beer in there and braise that, and then what happens is when you pull that meat out, excuse me, you take the leftover drippings and you reduce those down till it starts to thicken up, and that becomes your sauce for the short ribs. So,
wow. The root beer is interesting.
Oh, it's so good. That with maybe like some smoked cheddar or white cheddar, like mashed potatoes or polenta or something, I know we're not into the colder weather months yet. I know we're getting there, but that's certainly something, you could sit and make and watch, Sunday night football while you eat that. It's chilly outside.
Yes. So. Do you make chili? Now they mentioned that.
Well,
chili.
Definitely make chili. Again, going back to what I said about my parents being a good cook, I always say my chili will never be as good as my dad's. Although his is a very straightforward recipe, but it's just something about that nostalgic,
right.
feeling, I guess. But we just had an event in 1912 the other day. We had the 1950s diner night.
Yes.
And just to clarify, it was a 1950s diner night, but all the food was done with a twist,
Yes.
So I didn't want to do it like straightforward. And one of the things that I had on there was a brisket chili. So
it was good. I had it.
Thank
it was
you.
very good.
Yeah,
yes.
it was smoked brisket.
They said that, but I didn't know what that meant.
The brisket part. Yeah,
but it was good. Yes.
Yeah, there was nice big chunks of smoked brisket in there. When I made the chili, I used a little bit of like adobo peppers. You can get them kind of like in this little, we'll call it a gravy or like a sauce, so to speak. And you just puree all that down and put it in there. It gives it a really nice, like sweet but smoky flavor still. But yeah, that was so good. I took a little bit home with me and ate it all that night. So.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Hey, Judy, thank you for
James,
having me on
I'm glad
here.
to know you better.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I'm waiting to get some of that brisket. Do you want to say
Definitely.
goodbye to our audience?
Hey, everybody, thank you for watching. And, it's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being your chef. And if you haven't been to 1912 recently or the Great Wave Cafe, come in and see us. We're open 7 days a week. So thank you, Judy. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you and watch for this on the OLN schedule.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, there was lots of time.
Yeah.